Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. So yeah, I took the day off yesterday. I don't know, I guess you gotta do that every once in a while. Lisa's supposed to be home tonight. She was in Waterloo at 12:30, I believe. So she's probably in town. I haven't heard from her yet. Scano was asking what color I'm painting this. I am not a fan of the black primer that comes on aftermarket parts. They've had that stuff on since I used to work on cars, and I am not a fan of it. So I will be cleaning as much of it off as I can. I'm probably not going to take paint stripper to it, but we'll see. And I'll shoot it with the orange look and stuff. Self-etching Weld 2 primer. My plan is to get her all stripped down and fiberglass, rough end fiberglass everything so it's close. Get it all in that primer. And then I'll go back and I'll clean it up and I'll spray it. I got a bunch of high build primer. Gray. So she's gonna turn gray. When I get her all fixed, she's gonna turn gray. So, hey, that's my plan. I pull the shit out of the rust, clean as much as I can. That Weld 2 self-etching primer. And then once I get it all done, I'll scuff it all up and shoot her with gray. High build. Anyways, went out and checked, and the last capacitor showed up for the air compressor. So that's a startup capacitor. The run capacitor is over there. And the piston kits is over there. So, since I don't have my big bench in here anymore, I miss that bench. I need to clean this up. And I'll go get the compressor top and see if I can't put that thing back together. Who knows? See where I get tonight. Alright, got the bench cleaned out. Got the compressor back in here. Let's see if I remember how to put this thing together. Looking at the capacitors. Some capacitors are polarized and some are not. And I cannot find a single mark on it. But that's why I have left one on there. Because I'll use the writing on it to put them back in that hole thing. To put them back in the same way. But that one's all green. And has stuff coming out of it. And this one here, all the writing is crooked. And they didn't test out. So it tells me that they are smoked. This foam. I used to have sheets of this stuff. It is peel and stick on one side and it's just foam on the other. I don't know if I have any of that left. It would be out at work in my toolbox if I had any of it. Lisa's supposed to be back in town. Maybe she has some of that stuff. Otherwise, I might have to dig around my toolbox at work. But I got plenty to work on. I gotta try and remember how that all went. So, give me a second. Alright guys, I got the motor bolts back in. I almost forgot to put the bracket back on the back side. Those go on to the motor bolts. And I got her cleaned up in here. I'll do a little cleaning on here. The heads. One side has a dead hole. And I'm going to look quick, but I'm pretty sure the dead hole went on this side. Because it has a crossover pipe that goes from head to head. And this head has threads in and out. Those pipes go to the middle. Because that's the air filter. Because you have this one that goes, I'm pretty sure. I'll have to look again. One of these sides has this. And I'm pretty sure it's on this side here. I'll look. Because it might go through here. I'm going to have to look at my video. Anyways, once I figure those heads out, I'll pull them apart, put all the seals in, the new sleeves in there, and get the seals, get these cleaned up, get the seals on there. Lisa showed up. She's home. Oh, Marley. Just because I'm going outside, you don't have to start barking. And she brought home a pair of lions for the front porch. It's kind of cool. Oh, someone's knocking on the door. And a little frog she's going to paint it up, put it in the garden somewhere. But apparently the lions are going to the front of the house. So yeah. As soon as she gets kind of settled up, I have to haul all her luggage upstairs and all that. So we'll see how far I get. Alrighty guys. Alright guys. I got her apart. I cleaned the decks up. Clean the weight up. Pulled the cylinder and these parts apart. I shot some OSFO on the metal right there. She's pretty clean. There's a gasket that runs right around here. And a gasket that runs right around here. Because that's where the cylinder sits. Okay, so, and yeah, that's junk. So, I'm going to say if you run an airless in a garage without with a dirty garage, that's what happens, because all this air underneath isn't filtered. There's no filters down here. So it should last longer since I have a compressor garage. Because you go sanding on a car and all that stuff gets sucked up in here and it's going to get freaking scouring the cylinders. Okay, so I got that cleaned up. And here's the compression ring, which is totally toast. On that one, I was trying to pull it out with a needle nose and it ain't coming out. So then I figured out there's a T20 Torx in the center of this. I don't know if I can do this one-handed. But yeah, the compression ring sits right on there. And then the little cap sits on top of that. T20 Torx holds that together. That's how you change your compression ring. Take the cap off and you can put a new ring on it. And don't forget your little spacer that goes between the rods to give you your space. So I think I'm going to take a little grease. There's no seal that goes on this side. I'm going to take a little grease and wipe it in here just to kind of give it a coating. And I got my crank cleaned up with a little emmer cloth. So I'm going to put a little grease on that. Put the new piston rings on. And start putting this thing back together. CJ's been on the phone with me, so I got Lisa settled in the house. Been talking to CJ, so I should get the compressor side of it back together tonight. I don't know if I'll have it running. I need to find that foam to put around the compressor, or good lord, capacitors. So I'm gonna blow this out one more time and I'm gonna start putting it together. Alrighty guys, that's a whole lot prettier. Than that. She's got a ridge on the bottom side. And the compression ring is flat. So it's going to have to go on those pistons. It's going to have to come from the top side. And then this is all going to have to get locked in. And there's the two O-rings need. There's a new bolt in here. But that one's shorter than the original, so I'm using the original one. I'm taking it as for the that's the original one. It's a lot longer. So I'm using this one. I'll put that one in my magic box. So yeah, let me see what I can do. Well, before I forget, that was the number for the kits. Like I said, that came with the two seals, the piston ring, and the cylinder wall. Because the rods are still good. So I just took them apart. I'm going to reuse them. The bearings are still good. No roughness. So Let me get that seal on the piston and the cap back on it, and then I guess it goes in dry. Like I said, I'm going to put a little bit of grease in there and a little bit of grease on here, and then I guess the pistons go in dry. So let me see what I can do. Okay, I put a thin layer of grease on everything, because the only seal on this side is the one that runs right across the top of this sleeve. And aluminum likes to corrode, and I took sandpaper and I cleaned up all the corrosion and the other stuff. So I don't know if they had a coating on it, so I put a little grease on it, make sure it doesn't corrode up, and I put some grease on the shaft just because. So the piston rings are flat, so you put your piston ring on, you put your cap back on, screw it down, is flat, which means I've got to try and get this to go back into that sleeve. And then remember that this is the outside, and this rod is a number 3, that's the inside rod. The other rod is a number 4, that's the outside rod. And don't forget your little sleeve that goes between the two to give you your little space. So let me see what I can do. Alright, that's like a Teflon ring. It took me a couple tries to get it in there, but it's got to fold up. Just be careful that you don't cut your seal on this bottom ridge, because it's pretty sharp. So yeah, a couple tries I got her to finally sit in there flat, and that ring seated around there. Train's coming through town, and I got that one to go in. Like I said, it took a couple tries to get that to go in there square. Just be careful, because it wants to go in there crooked, and it wants to get under around this lip, and that's really sharp, and it'll cut that ridge, cut that ring. So just be careful. So let me see about getting it into the compressor again. That rod has to go on first, then that little sleeve, and then that rod. And as soon as I can get it all to sit in there flat, I can put that nut back on. Alright, give me a second. Alright, that was not the easiest thing in the world. I had to kind of keep the cup up at an angle and get this at an angle and move it around. It was when the crank was down, I just kept moving it around, and finally it was starting to come in, and I gave her a little tap with my palm of my hand, and she went in. She's on there. Alright, let me see about getting the other one on. Well, and then I just noticed I got it on backwards. So let me pull that back apart, see if I can get it turned around. Alrighty, guys. Alrighty, the seals. I don't have the greatest light in here. I don't know if they do any good turning on the other light. Seal's nice and flush all the way around. I got the rods. So you can see number 3 on the inside, number 4 on the outside, and the weight says this side out. So she's all back hooked up. So I'll clean that surface one more time and put the O-rings in. And get this thing back together. Like I said, between Lisa and CJ, I don't have enough time to put the whole thing back together, but at least I'll get this compressor side done. So, give me a second. Okay, the O-rings don't want to quite stay into place. So I have some anaerobic sealer. Put a little bit on that O-ring, it'll glue it right into place and give it a little bit better sealing. Just be careful with this stuff because it will lock an engine up, motor up, it don't matter. So you got to use it on a lot of stuff, but just be careful with it. I just put a really thin coat on the O-ring. Now she's glued right in there. She's not going to move on me. I put a little thin coat on that O-rings too. It helps glue them into place and make them so they don't move. I used to, back in the automotive days, I used to use this stuff for like gluing water pump gaskets on, and if the aluminum housing had pits in it, I used to use that and smear it over the pits to smooth it out so that you didn't have a leak when you got done. Kept the gaskets, the O-rings in place, and kept it from leaking. So that's some really good stuff, but you got to be careful, because I have heard on some of the overhead cam stuff, you got to use that on the valve cover, and if you get that into the cam bearing at all, it will break the camshaft in half. Just an FYI. I mean, it's really good stuff, but you just got to be careful. Alright, let me get the heads on this thing. It's getting late. Alright, heads are back on her. That's a good sound. Turns over nice. She's got a little ug to her. That's squirrel cage, part number. So let me get that on there. See if I can spin her over better. Alrighty. That looks a heck of a lot better than this squirrel cage. I can hear her. So, I'll clean this pipe up, put a couple new O-rings on, and I'll put a little Vaseline around the O-rings. That's a trick my dad taught me years ago, rebuilding Carvies or anything. Put a little Vaseline around your O-rings. It makes them seal. I stayed up half the night rebuilding an old double pumper frickin' Holly, and she was leaking between the bolts. And Dad came out there and he frickin' said, "Oh, just put a little Vaseline on them O-rings." And I pulled the bolts back out, put a little Vaseline on there, put her back together, and she never leaked ever again. So that's what I do. Put a little Vaseline on O-rings. And that should be the compressor side of it fixed. So now I just gotta fix the motor side. But she is way past 10 o'clock, so I'm gonna call her a night. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Alrighty, guys.